Hello again, it's your friendly neighborhood host, JT Wheatley, back for another episode of the History Comics Podcast. This time in the life of Elton Clay Fax and George P. Lipskin, the artist and the writer. Through most of the Black Comic Book Creator series we've been going through, we have mostly focused on the artists, mainly that was because there are very few, if any, black writers during the Golden Age. In fact, there is probably just one that can be identified, and that is George P. Lipskin, but to get to him, we still have to go to another black artist, and that is Elton Clay Fax. Elton Clay Fax was born on October 9, 1901 in Druid Heights in Baltimore, Maryland. He was named after his uncle and grew up in a prosperous black community at the time where Booker T. Washington even visited. However, the section Fax grew up was a bit more humbler, where he, his parents, and his younger brother Mark lived. Fax's father, Mark Oakland Fax, attended the New York School of Chiropody, aka Podiatry, in 1911. Upon graduation and state licensing, Mark Fax began running ads in the Baltimore Afro-American newspaper, offering his patients to come to his home at 1516 Pressman Street. While he was able to earn an extra income, Mark Fax still had to keep up his regular job as a stevedore/dock worker at the Baltimore Railroad Depot, while his wife and Elton's mother, Willie Estelle Fax, worked out of the home as a dressmaker. Willie Fax was one of the 7 college-educated children and thus actively involved in her children's education, along with being very religious like her husband. They were also very protective of their youngest child, as Mark was a bit of an introvert, though he would later demonstrate enough talent with playing the organ that he would play for large churches and silent movies. Both Fax boys would go to the Frederick Douglass High School, the city's first all-black high school and the country's second, as Baltimore had the highest black population of any city in America at the time. Fax would have some esteemed classmates there, notably the future civil rights lawyer and Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, whom Fax was a year ahead of, and musician Cab Calloway. During this time, Fax's parents separated, with his father moving to Los Angeles, only to later die on August of 1927. His mother, Willie, took her sons and moved in with her 2 sisters, both of whom were teachers, and encouraged Elton and Mark to seek out a college education. Elton Fax graduated from high school in June of 1926 and went to Claflin College in Orangeburg, South Carolina, before transferring to Syracuse University in 1927, majoring in engineering. However, his roommate was an art major, which is where Fax eventually went into, helped by the fact he kept flunking his math classes. He would have to work his way through school to complete his education, doing odd jobs like a pot washer or a bellman, but also had benefits for Fax as well, particularly since he met his future wife, Grace Turner, at Syracuse in 1929. They would have 3 children together. Fax would graduate in June of 1931 with a fine arts degree. Fax returned to Baltimore as an artist and began a series of one-man shows to show off his paintings. He provided work for the Assembly Hall of Afro-American Building and quickly earned a reputation as one of the city's top artists, working at the Baltimore Afro-American newspaper as his resident art critic, along with doing a solo show for them. In 1933, Fax received a Civil Works Administration Award, a New Deal program designed to provide work for the unemployed, to paint a mural in Dunbar Junior High School at $42 a week, $800 a day, which is decent pay for a new artist. In 1935, Fax returned to Claflin College, this time teaching art. However, he would receive a letter from Augustus Savage, whom he had previously met in New York 2 years earlier, with an offer of a job for the Work Projects Administration, WPA, another New Deal program designed to create jobs through public works. Uninspired by his position at Claflin, Fax left for New York City and did work in Harlem, as Savage had found an art studio there and later formed the Harlem Community Arts Center in December of 1937 through the Works Project Administration Federal Art Program. There, Fax participated in the Contemporary Negro Artist in February of 1939, and in 1940 did the American Negro Exhibition in Chicago. He also met fellow artists Romare Burden, Charles Alston, and E. Sims Campbell, who encouraged Fax to get into commercial art. With a wife and children to support, Fax worked with the WPA supplying illustrations for the new reading program. 2 of these books were March Cobur's War Cloud and The Pygmies by George P. Lipskin, the latter writer whom Fax would work with again. He would also illustrate for pulp magazines in 1942, such as Weird Tales, Real Victim, Complete Cowboy, Story Parade, Child Life, All Sports, and Astounding. He finally made his jumps into comic strips with Susabel, which was published in black newspapers through L. H. Stanton's Continental Features. The strip was about a mischievous black girl and ran from 1942 to 1943. All this commercial work was for tourists to get, as the WPA was ended in 1943. Fax eventually got work in the comic books, taking advantage of the fact that many of the white artists were being drafted and serving in the World War II. He was able to do signed work in Target Comics number 8, Volume 5, February 1945, with the story The Bullseye Ball, and later did Volume 6, number 3 of May 1945 as well. Fax received a brief biography piece in Ramona Lowe's New York in Review for the Chicago Defender on December 2, 1944, pointing out that he was doing work for Curtis Publishing, which owned Parents Magazine, and through Novelty Press, Target Comics. Fax would also do unsigned work for True Comics through Lloyd Jacquot's Funnies Incorporated, a comic shop that provided stories for comic books, and at the same time, another black Golden Age artist, Robert Pius, also worked there. Fax later did work on Young Life, February of 1945, and Teen Life, two teen-oriented comic books under New Age Publisher, which was a reincarnation of the American Youth Democracy, a publishing arm of the American Communist Party. In addition, the owner was listed as Liv Gleason, the future publisher of the legendary crime comic Crime Does Not Pay. It was this, plus Fax's work with the socialistic trade union news service, that likely indicates his politics veered left, even though he wasn't very overt about it. It was also through this work he met George Dewey Lipskin, possibly the only black writer of the Golden Age. Lipskin was born on September 7, 1898 in Freeport, Illinois, the son of Alice and John Lipskin, a former slave. As a young boy, Lipskin showed early skill as a debater, winning a statewide contest in June of 1916 with his oratory, The Future of the American Negro, and his success earned him a scholarship to Northwestern University. He would briefly serve in the Army during World War I before graduating, and would work odd jobs until he earned national praise for his one-act play Francis. Lipskin gained even more attention when he wrote Dr. George Washington Carver, Scientist, with Shirley Graham, the future wife of civil rights activist Webb Du Bois, in April of 1944. Fax provided illustrations, and a significant part of this positive reception for the book was from them. Next, Lipskin wrote Tales from the Lands of Simba in 1945, which was a collection of 5 stories with illustrations by Felice Warden. One story, Simba Wana, Lion Master, was adapted into the comic book Jack Armstrong, number 1, of November of 1947, with Elton Fax providing the art, and this would ultimately be his last work in comics. Lipskin continued in comics, working at the Gilberton Company on Classics Illustrated, a comic book that adapted literary masterpieces like Alice in Wonderland and The Man in the Iron Mask, with Iger Studios providing the art. Lipskin provided text for their David Copperfield adaptation in June of 1947, and later helped adapt James Fenimore Cooper's The Spy in issue number 51, that's September 1948, A Christmas Carol in issue number 53 in November of 1948, and The Lady in the Lake number 75 in September 1950. Sadly, he passed away on January 26, 1957, but with the distinction of being one of the few, if only, black Golden Age comic book writers. Elton Fax continued to do other work during his partnership with Lipskin, such as They Never Die in the 1945, a biographical cartoon that ran to the late 1940s, and illustrating Leela Marshall's Vinnie Taylor story in the Negro magazine. He continued as an illustrator, working on books like West African Vignettes in 1960, Contemporary Black Leaders in 1970, and Hashar in 1980. Fax also started to produce posters to push social causes, a significant one that debuted in Gary, Indiana in 1943, depicting a helmeted black soldier with the caption, 500,000 of these lads are fighting for you, let them and theirs share in our democracy. In addition, he produced 2 posters of the NAACP, one depicting the hand of the NAACP strangling Jim Crow with the flags of Nazi Germany and Japan hanging from his legs. The second was a simpler drawing showing a well-dressed black man holding the scales of justice, which appeared at the 8th Annual Youth Conference in New Orleans. Fax later moved to Mexico in 1943, partly due to his daughter going to college there, but also to avoid racial tensions in the United States. In 1964, he became a Goodwill Ambassador to East Africa, while also starting to accrue awards for his distinguished career, such as the Coretta Scott King Award from the American Library Association in 1972 for his art and writing. He also would remarry to Elizabeth V. Merle, a social worker. In 1990, he won the Chancellor Award from his alma mater, Syracuse University. Elton Clay Fax died on May 13, 1933, at the age of 83 in Queens, New York. His papers are currently held at the New York Public Library, Boston University, Syracuse University, along with a longer legacy of contributing to art and comic books. Notably, he had a brief but fruitful partnership with George P. Lipskin, making one of the few, if only, black writer-artist pairings in the Golden Age, and that alone is history-making. I would like to thank the chief source of this episode, Invisible Men, the trailblazing black artist of comic books by King Quattro, which features a great biography of Elton Clayfax with additional information on George P. Lipskin and numerous other black artists of the Golden Age. A must-read for any comic book fan.
Positive than a New Day pancake. More fun than a super kick party. It's the wrestling podcast from the host, who is the hammer swinging, burrito eating, well, you know the rest, of Thunder Talk. Sexy Thor. It's the Ring of Thunder, found in the Thunderverse and among the great podcasts of the ESO network.
Now it is May 6th, 2021. Time for the favorite comic book of the week. The Good Asian by Pornsak Pichowat and Alexandra Tunkavinking. Excuse me if I mispronounced those names. But which is a great new mystery series about Edison Hark, a 1930s Asian American detective in the 1930s US of A. That finds someone investigating a new mystery while having to deal with the racist backdrop of America at the time. Picturesop does a great job just developing the atmosphere and going with the real world history of 1930s America, being at a time when Asian American immigrants were actually banned for decades for coming to America for stupid racist reasons. Well, at the same time, I said a really good mystery. As you see, Hark does a really good job as being a detective, and it's matched wonderfully by Tefengi's great Norse art. He does a great job also not only developing the atmosphere, but also showing off Hark's detective skills. Like his detective vision is very cool to look at, and so forth. So this looks like it looks to be a great new comic, and very timely considering the feelings about Asian Americans today. So yeah, definitely worth picking it up. And with that, we'll conclude this other biography on the great black artist of the Golden Age of comic books. Join me in next week for another new episode. And until then, go out and enjoy yourself a good comic book.